Kevin, just as I said, the law hasn't even been enacted as of yet for Hong Kong. So this timing, preempting even this move, seems really interesting.
A preemptive move on behalf of the United States, and what has really been, Sherry, a rare area of bipartisanship in America. This also comes just days after a measure was passed with support from Democrats and Republicans in the Senate that would allow for the United States to issue some type of sanctions against Chinese officials who do business with the Communist Party that have been supportive of the national security measures, so-called national security measures for Hong Kong. I'm told by top Republicans in the House of Representatives that this is just one of the many tools over the course of the next few months that the United States will issue, again, with bipartisan support, with the next round of legislative measures really coming into effect in October.
Kevin, how likely is this going to play into the continued trade relationship between the mainland and the U.S., particularly as it is such a playbook going into November?
Well, from the administration standpoint, President Trump and his top economic advisors have forecasted that they are willing to divorce COVID-19 and the lack of transparency from the Communist Party with the international community from the U.S.-China trade relation. Whether or not China upholds that same type of an agreement as it relates to Hong Kong, we're going to have to wait and see. But you can't look at U.S.-China trade relations or even the U.S. and Hong Kong as an issue in a vacuum. It's part of a broader-term U.S. policy shift away from the traditional geopolitical outlook from the U.S. perspective as it has dealt with Beijing, that over the long term, based upon my reporting and conversations that I've had with officials in both parties, have suggested to me is going to dramatically change in the long term.
Kevin, just quickly, Kevin, just quickly, let me ask you about the trade relationship between Hong Kong and the U.S., because this GTV chart on the Bloomberg just showing that Hong Kong really imports a lot from the U.S. So the rhetoric that we've heard is that the U.S. would lose a lot if Hong Kong actually loses its special trading status. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I'll keep this very quick, and just two quick points that I would make. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce, Sherry, issued a survey in June of 2020, this month, and 64% of respondents of U.S. firms that have business dealings in Hong Kong, a part of the chamber, said that they were very concerned about the Hong Kong losing its status. But secondly, I would note is that it's a marathon, not a sprint, I'm told, by officials who are close to this, and the U.S. could shift some of its investments to another area, maybe Singapore, and even over the longer term, look for investment in India.